Hi, how's it going? So my name is Gori, and I am super excited to be here today as part of Black Tech Fest to introduce my session, which is all about kickstarting your career in tech. Very excited. Obviously, a little disclaimer. I think the title was a bit different as to what it was on the agenda, but this session is really all about skills. It's all about making sure that you can engage in your career planning and help you feel comfortable with what a career in tech could look like. So firstly, thanks very much for joining. And as we go through, do feel free to ask questions. I think the questions will be pinged through to me that we should be able to answer a few as we go or towards the end of the session as well. So firstly, who are Upskill Digital? That is an organization that I run. We are a learning and transformation organization. So we essentially help a lot of organizations help their employees embrace technology, build their career plans, progress their own careers. We do a lot of work in inclusion and helping a lot of employees feel confident in how they can navigate their way through an organization, very much with tech at the heart of it, right? So we are a tech training company and we have our tech platforms that help us do that. But what excites me most is really helping people see how they can navigate their way through their careers and hopefully embrace technology along the way as well. Who am I? British-born Nigerian. I have been, I've had quite an eclectic journey myself when it comes to careers. And one of the reasons I really enjoy, getting the opportunity to do this session is because as an entrepreneur, I very much believe in being that CEO of your career, right? Owning your career like it's a business, right? Taking that mindset, that entrepreneurial approach to your own development is really key. I have, again, an eclectic journey, but I'm a serial entrepreneur onto my third startup so far. Been speaking on the international circuit a little bit. When it comes to diversity and inclusion, it's really important that we can support each other through this turbulent period. We're helping each other kind of, connect to be able to grow and have more visibility on there as well. I'm a gooner, I'm a triathlete, so it might be good for some people, less for others. But from my perspective, it's really about talking about how do you take control of your career and trying to grow through it. So please do ask questions we're going through, and I'm going to hopefully, whiz you through this and get you some good tidbits to take away and help you kind of navigate the way you jump into tech. One of the first things I want to talk about is the fact that there are a lot of stats out there at the moment, especially what we're seeing through Black History Month, about the lack of representation in many industries, especially in the tech industry, which is a shame because the tech sector is, one of the newest sectors, so to speak. And where we talk about lack of representation, it's important that people can visualize the roles that they want to get into and the growth that they want to aspire to achieve. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, when I was at school, I hit quite a few stumbling blocks when I was trying to understand what I want to do with my career, where I wanted to go, how I wanted to grow myself. And there were a lot of, well-meaning teachers and family members who basically used to remind me and talk about this holy trinity of jobs that I could have. I came from an African background. So my parents were very keen on me being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or an accountant, right? There were a few options in there. None of those really excited me. But I think when I consider what they had as options in their time, right? 20, 30, 40 years ago, the game's changed, right? There were many fewer options available to what we have now. Tech as a sector, gives us many more job opportunities for us to be able to jump into. And, because of that, where you yourself might be thinking about a career in tech or, what your career opportunities might be, now is a really important time to take real ownership of that. And you have the chance to really decide on which choices you might need to take to make sure you can navigate yourself into positions that will help us boost that visibility and that representation. And I like to talk about, hopefully, young people like yourselves that are in this call, they're in this session, you are the leaders of tomorrow, right? You are the people that are going to, boost that visibility to help us drive more representation. And success does look like you. You've got to this point because you're hungry, you're ambitious, you really have taken, interesting paths to get to where you are now, but you can take control of this and hopefully help you grow moving forward. But why tech, right? It's really interesting when I look at that terminology of technology. I think I don't have to give you a history lesson of what tech's about. I mean, humans have been using technology long before we even had a word for it, really. When we look at fashioning tools to be able to solve problems and, really considering the word innovation and invention alongside technology. I mean, they go hand in hand. Technology by its very nature is inventive. So this sector itself, undoubtedly has been one of the most attractive sectors for new jobs and new opportunities. And I was reading some stats by Tech Nation, which was talking about the fact that 20% of digital tech jobs or digital tech vacancies, or most of the vacancies, or a lot of digital tech vacancies are much more prominent than other sector vacancies. Why is that, right? Because new roles are being created at the moment, right? So let's say in 20 years' time, a lot of the job roles that will be available then haven't even been created yet, which is an amazing, thing to think about. On the other side of that, about 2.1 million jobs are available within the digital tech economy at the moment. When you break those out, you've got about 1.5 million or so of those are for tech roles in tech firms. You've got about 1 million or so, a little less than that, that are available in non-tech firms as tech roles. And then there's the kind of non-tech roles within tech firms as well. So where you choose to land may depend on kind of how you want to engage and where your passions also lie. And I like people to really think about the options that are out there. I've got a lot of people often ask me, I want to get into tech because that's where the future is. That's where you've got to be. And well, yes, it's interesting because there are some really amazing high growth organizations, high growth startups and scale ups that are, making amazing tech products for tomorrow, right? Or tech products for today even. And, not every person that works in tech is a coder or a developer, right? They might seem like the most prominent roles that are out there, but realistically, if you're looking to get into tech, you may yourself be considering non-tech roles in tech. I've got a fairly eclectic background. I started off studying chemistry of all things. And then, I went to work in experiential marketing, which is all about real face-to-face engagement marketing. But I really had a goal to work in digital advertising, actually is what I was really passionate about. I was really interested about how you could use digital platforms to reach many, many people, right? And how can you do that at scale and in a truly engaging way? So, for me, I started off working in a digital marketing agency, but we put it upon myself to find a way to get into advertising and actually transverse into training, because I felt that there was a bit of a gap into how people can learn about technology to help them grow businesses or advertise themselves. So when I looked at the roles that are available to me, I actually realized the roles for me were account managers, right? Working in agencies, working in those kind of firms. And then there were contractor roles available to me looking in slightly larger tech firms, just so I can get a feel for what it was like. And I think that really helped me understand what was available. I really had to kind of have a look at the lay of the land to see what was right for me. So again, when you're thinking about which side of the coin you land on, I think there was a stat that said in Glassdoor that 43% or just under half of roles that are advertised by tech companies are traditionally not technical roles, right? So you don't just need to be technically skilled to be working in a technical company, and I think, or a tech company. So I think it's really important that you really consider what might be right for you. As I mentioned, not all people who work in tech are all data scientists or coders, but there are also very exciting roles, as well. But it starts with planning, right? It really starts with career planning. And it's incredibly important to take full ownership of that, full ownership of how you manage your career like a business, right? Like a business plan. How do you ensure that you set those milestones? And when I talk about planning, because often people don't spend the time to think about what a plan looks like when you're building your career goals. It doesn't have to be rigid, right? But you've got to start with your why, right? Why do you want to get into tech? Why do you want to get into a particular role? What does success really look like for you? So define that why and set yourself goals. For me, what excited me, as I mentioned before about digital, is the sheer opportunities of scale, right? To be able to reach many, many people in a very fast and efficient way, and provide true quality and sort of life-changing tools and support. And that's really why I got into training. That's what excites me about building platforms like Upskill. Think about your ideal role. What's right for you. There'll be many, many reasons or many sort of factors that feed into that. It could be, life-based decisions. It could be, who you're working with. Define your milestones. Think about the barriers. There'll be things that will end up being forces that hinder your growth into that particular role, forces that actually help you get into that particular role. So try to define those, because you want to be able to tackle them as well as possible. Each career has its advantages and disadvantages. So make sure you do your due diligence on why you want to pick that particular role or with that particular organization as well. Then you need to map out your skills, and we'll go into that in a second as well. And finally, building that experience, building that network is really, really key. But if I jump back into defining career success, I'd love you to ask yourself that question. What does career success look like to you, right? Like, everybody's definition will be different, right? That is very, very true. There are many factors that can affect your career goals, how you view and manage your work-life balance, for example, right? So, you've really got to define that and make sure you're comfortable with or getting clear on what's important to you. Why do you want that career in this particular organization or this particular role in the first place, right? What do you want to get out of it? How will your life change as a result of choosing that particular role? And that will come from doing the due diligence on that as well. So be sure to define in your mind what career success looks like to you, and take a second to write it down. If you can in this session, have a think. Say, what does success look like to me? What has it meant to me now up to this point? And what will it mean to me moving forward? And then you're going to go away and set goals, right? And that's really, really key, because when you're setting the vision, the goals, it's really important to, articulate your vision so that it doesn't just feel like you are just coasting along. And career goals aren't just about one specific role, right? Although it's important to know what your next role is going to look like, but also kind of what you offer. What is it that you're providing to people? Build those short-term goals, 1 year, 2 year, to those long-term goals to 5 year. Sometimes if you just write it down and map it out, it'll help you feel more connected to it. Then I mentioned before about understanding what's important to you, right? What are your must-haves versus your nice-to-haves? I know for me, when I was really building this out, there were a lot of must-haves to me which align with my values. So I really always wanted to work with people that I can learn from, right? Which is why probably I'm in education at the moment, because when I was doing due diligence on the roles that I was looking to jump into, I was asking interviewers, what is the makeup of the team? What kind of backgrounds do they have? Right? Because it's important for me to align with people who have, gone through, interesting career trajectories, speaking with people who have similar values, right? Look, in your sort of career progression, you will have trade-offs. There are things that are nice to have. So maybe you want that awesome office that has a table tennis table, gives you free food. Not everywhere has something like that. So you've got to think about what is important for you now, because that will also change as you kind of progress through your career as well. Especially when you're looking at tech. I mean, a lot of people feel like tech is just all the glamour and the glitz, when actually there was a lot of, there were the less glamorous sides to tech. There's the long hours, there's the changing roles. I mean, that sort of stuff will come with it. Are you prepared for that, that fluctuation in working environment? Interrogate your roles. I talk about due diligence. It's really important. You're able to explore possibilities while thinking about due diligence behind it. So asking people either at your current work or reaching out to people on LinkedIn to ask them what their experience is of being in a particular role. Say, I'm thinking about getting into this industry. Would love to know your thoughts. What are the challenges? What are the barriers of entry? How have you found working in that particular role as well? I say this often, don't limit your challenges, right? Challenge your limits. Okay, often it's our mind that decides on what we can and can't do, and we put limits on ourselves, right? So have a think about, can you explore completely different areas, completely different roles within a particular sector, or within the tech sector, for example, that could get you, exposed to a different field, a different skill set, and perhaps different people as well. So, don't limit yourself to that. Have a think about how you can push past that. If I think about skills, right? And this is really key, because when we talk about mapping out skills, I often talk about building a personal learning plan, right? So this learning plan will help you know what skills you need. It could start with a bit of a skills audit. I've done this quite a few times. Probably every couple of years or so, I have a bit of a skills audit of myself, right? So working out what are the skills that I currently have, and what skills will get me to the future role that I want. If I see a role that I'm excited by, I'd pull down the job description, have a look at what I can and can't do, and work out how do I get to that point, right? How do I get the skills that I need? So I might say, I really want to learn to do X, and I'm going to learn that via this particular platform. And I'll know when I'm successful, when I've been able to do, Y. So have a think about building down that plan so that you can be comfortable in how you grow. There are great platforms out there. One of the, exciting platforms I like to talk about is a digital garage. In my career progression, I work with Google probably for the last 10 or 12 years or so now, doing a stint with them, helping them build large scale programs and, develop content that really, hits and educates people at scale. And Digital Garage is a great example of a platform where you can essentially get access to free skills, free training, free knowledge, certified by Google. And you can get a certificate of your own on a range of topics, from CV building, employability skills, digital skills around marketing, AI, machine learning, finding a balance with technology, building your CV, building your cover letter. I mean, there's really an amazing set of content that's available to you. And platforms like that really help you take full advantage of your own skill set and help you build that growth. And they have free sessions. I know the Digital Garage, since we, built it from inception, they offer free live training almost every day. Since COVID happened, I think we're often training almost 4 or 5 times a day, which is incredible. Lots of different courses. And I think even there's a course being delivered today at around 3 o'clock, I believe, on finding your career goals. So if you want to sort of take this a bit further and understand what are the formula that I need to take on to kind of build my career path, that is a really great platform, or a great platform to learn from. On that career goals, it's really interesting because you look at the ingredients that help you become more fulfilled at work, identify what matters to you. And they've got a nice little framework that actually helps you understand. And I think it's from the Japanese Ikagi setup, where you look at kind of what you're good at, right? So what you've been working a lot on and what you've had experience with. You kind of balance that with, what you love, right? And what you really enjoy doing, and understand what people value, and get that real sort of mix and sweet spot, for you as well. And that will hopefully help drive your excitement in the area that you want to work in as well. So those sessions, hopefully this afternoon, if you get a chance to jump into it, will help you better understand, how you can form that for yourself, and hopefully take you into that tech role that you're looking for too. We've got another session as well, which is about building a personal brand online. I think that's going on, later on this afternoon as well. So defining a personal branding is key when you're looking at building your career, because many recruiters rely on checking out your social media to make sure you're comfortable with that. And you understand that what you are saying is congruent of, what you'll hopefully bring to the table when you work with them as well. So do check out that session as well. And that's happening this afternoon. A couple of final things. When you're looking at building your experience, the world of work has changed. When I'm trying to get into a new area of work or work with new clients, I attend industry events. I get to understand what they're looking for. I show up at those events. I connect. We're in the digital networking world right now. So mapping out your network, who you want to engage with, targeting specific roles that you think is ideal that you want to get into, connect with them, find out how they got into that role, know the software, know the lingo, know, how people engage on those platforms and how that's going to be beneficial for you if you're able to get into that particular role. And, looking at action planning, all about action. In Upskill, we build loads of programs that get really practical and hands-on. So thinking about what is the action plan that you need to take to be able to get to that particular role. So if I speak to this person in this organization, I'll be able to know more about that particular role. If I save a certain amount of money, I can actually save up for a course that I can do to be able to hopefully, get the skills I need to get into that particular job. So have a think about how you break down an action plan for your own progression. So just a bit of a recap. Again, it's short, but a whistle-stop session. Plan your path. Okay, take ownership of your career. Treat your career like a business, right? Get entrepreneurial about it. Build your experience in your networks. I know at Upskill, when we are looking to hire, highly skilled individuals or people that have just a serious amount of hunger and ambition, we want to show they've actually tried something, right? They've built their own website, or they've tried to grow their own project or whatever it might be. Show that you have tried it yourself. And then that shows that you have that that initiative that often is much required by lots of organizations at the moment. And finally, leverage platforms like the Digital Garage, platforms that are out there that can hopefully give you access to learning from experts and the skills that you need to be able to grow your career as well. Great. Well, look, thank you very much. Hopefully that's been useful. I know there have been a couple of questions that came in. So if I do have a minute or so, maybe I can jump in and ask them onto one or two. Let me just see if I can find them. Cool. One of the first questions, if I do have time, somebody asked what companies we founded or before upskill. So interesting question. I founded my first company when I was living in the States. So in New York, it was a social dining club. So we actually created a platform for you to be able to connect with others around eating out. And I created that because I purely just wanted to go enjoy eating out in New York when I first moved there. And it was a networking platform for people. And then I founded one around a style tag platform, which allowed you to buy through visual imagery. So that was a tech-based company. So two completely different platforms that I founded before I got into Upskill Digital, both of which were just passions of mine and great opportunities for me to be able to learn something new and leverage that passion too. Next question, top skill you recommend for a recent graduate? Interesting. Well, I think skills that a lot of organizations are looking for right now, if you think you've got the more transferable softer skills versus the technical skills, on the softer skills side, people are looking for that cognitive flexibility, which is the ability to be able to switch between, different sort of, I guess it's sort of thinking differently about how you approach problem solving, adapting very quickly to changing environments. And if you can show that well, and that might mean you're looking at agile methodologies, you're looking at different approaches about working, quickly around problems that you have to solve, that'd be useful. More a softer skill to have. From a technical skill, for me, understanding data. So being able to talk confidently about data visualization, not say you have to be a data scientist or a data analyst, but if you're able to talk confidently about data, a lot of organizations are really excited about how you do that. So that's what I would say you should have a think into, take that terminology and think about where you can get the technical skills to be able to hopefully put you in good stead as a candidate for an opportunity.